Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om, the second month of the series of Vivekachoodamani, which will continue for the next 2 weeks of 5 days each. We will continue with where we stopped last month. So the student is asking 7 questions. Ko nama bandhaha. What is the meaning of this bondage? What is bondage? Kathamesha agataha. How did this bondage happen? Katham pratishta asya. How did this bondage establish itself? Katham vimokshaha. How can I be free of this bondage? Ko asau anatma. What is not I? What is the next question is what is I? Paramaha ka atma. What is I and what is not I? Tayoho vivekaha. How to tell the difference between the two? Kathametad uchatam. Please tell me, O Master. And the student, the teacher says, Shri Guru Ruvacha, he says, you are very blessed. You have done what you need to do in this world. Kritakrityahasi, pavitamte kulam tvaya. This whole lineage of yours is purified because of what you have asked. Yad avidya bandha muktya, because of this question, you will be free from ignorance. Brahmi bhavitum ichchasi. You desire to become the Brahman. You desire to experience yourself as the Brahman by being free of ignorance. And this indeed is a great question, says the teacher, praising the student. And in the next 4 or 5 verses, the glory of self-effort or purushartha. Purushartha means doing something for the sake of one's own self. For my own self, I want to invest time. I want to get clarity on who am I, what is this connection between, what is the world I see, what is the connection between me and the world, and why am I born, what do I need to really do in this life. All these kinds of questions which refer to our own personal self, our own understanding of ourself is called Purushartha, and glory of this Purushartha. When we glorify something, we give importance to that, we know that it is very important. And so that is why these verses glorify self-effort. Why is self-effort required in life? Rinamochana kartaraha pitus santi sutadayaha bandhamochana kartatu swasmad anyona kaschana. Rina mochana kartaraha pituhu. For the father, santi suta adayaha. The sons and other members of the family exist after the father, so that if the father has obtained any loans from somebody, the sons can pay off those loans, even though in real life it may be quite difficult. But Acharya Shankara gives this example. The possibility is there. The sons can pay off those loans for the father even after he drops the body, even after he dies. But bandha mochana kartatu, if the father has to be free from the bondage of the cycle of birth and death, the sun cannot do that. Swasmat anyaha na kashchana. Other than he himself, nobody else can do that work for him. Which means when we are alive, when we are living in this world, we have to figure out what is this bondage, why am I bound, and how will I become free? Because after we pass on, there is no liberation once that we drop the body. After we drop the body, it is not possible. So even while living in the body, we have to gain this knowledge and we have to strive to establish ourselves in this knowledge. Because once we leave the body, the sons and other members of the family, if there are any loans to be paid off, they will be able to help. But they will not be able to do anything about our own enlightenment, our own wisdom or lack of it, about the truth of our own existence. That we have to work on it ourselves. It is not a homework that we can assign to somebody else to do. It is a homework that we need to do. It is the only homework that we have in this life, in this lifetime. Mastakanyasta bharadehi dukkhamanyaihi nivaryate kshudhadi krita dukkham tu vinasvena na kenachit. To give an example for this, that nobody else can take up the task of relieving us of our ignorance. We have to work on it ourselves. Just to give an example for this, the Acharya gives another interesting simile. Mastaka nyastabhara adehi. So there is somebody is carrying a load on their head and they are very tired because of that. Dukkham anyaihi nivaryate. Somebody else can come and help to carry that load for some time and then make him free of that sorrow. Kshudadi krita dukkham tu. But the sorrow that is caused by kshudha. Kshudha means hunger. Dukkham tu vinasvena na kenachita. Only I have to, if I am feeling hungry, only I have to do something to quell the sorrow of that hunger, and nobody else can eat to make me feel satiated for my hunger. In the same way, if I experience ignorance, then it is me who has to strive to gain knowledge, and nobody else can do that for me. Pathyamaushadhasevacham kriyate yena roginam arogya siddhir dushtasya nanyanushtita karmanam. Pathyam aushadha sevacha kriyate. The rogi or the diseased person who needs to follow a pathyam, a diet regimen, and aushadha seva, he needs to take some medicines or he needs to apply medicines. Arogya siddhir drishtasya, with the idea that he has to become healthy, he has to take the medicine, he has to follow the diet. Na anya anutishtati karmana. This action cannot be done by somebody else and another person expect to be healed from sickness. If I am sick with something, I have to take the medicine for my own sickness. I cannot outsource that work to somebody else. Just like how we outsource many works like plumbing works and carpentry works are being outsourced to others, or outsourced to people in other countries also. Like that, we cannot outsource the work of healing ourselves of our own sickness. We have to follow the diet and we have to take the medicines. We have to apply the required medicines for us, ourselves, to be cured of the disease. Somebody else cannot take it up on them for our disease to be cured. In the same way, vastuswarupam sputabodha chakshusha svenaiva vedyam natu panditena. Chandraswarupam Nijachakshusaiva Nyatavyamanyir Avagamyate Kim. Vastu Swarupam. Vastu means the truth, the reality. Sputa Bodha Chakshusha, with the intellect that is very clear. Svenaiva Vedyam, I have to know myself. The Vastu is within me. That reality, the truth of the self is within me. And who can know it? Only I can know it with a clear mind. Natu Panditena, another Pandit who's very knowledgeable, who's very advanced in his knowing, cannot know the self for me. So everywhere we are getting into the habit of outsourcing our work, outsourcing our learning, outsourcing even writing exams. Also, it is possible. But for this, knowing the true self, only I have to do. It is my own personal work. I cannot outsource it to any Pandit, any knowledgeable person to do it on my behalf. Just like how when we want to do a homa or havan for our family, for the prosperity of the family, we call a Pandit, we give that Pandit some money, and we ask him to do the homa on our behalf. And he agrees to do, and that benefits will definitely come to us because we are asking him to officiate on our behalf. But in the same way, we cannot ask somebody else to officiate on our behalf for us to know the truth, the reality of ourselves. We have to put in that effort by ourselves. Just like how Chandraswarupam Nijachakshushaiva, the beauty of the moon can be enjoyed only by my own eyes. How much ever we may send Chandrayaan, the Vikram lander will see around, it will give certain data only about the moon. It will give certain information about the moon on a daily basis. Knowing that information, we cannot get the whole picture of the moon. If we want to enjoy the moon, if we want to admire the moon, if we want to know the beauty of the moon, we have to look at it directly with our eyes or through a telescope. And we have to look at the moon ourselves. Nothing else, nobody else can help us to Nyatavyam Anyaihi Avagamyate Kim. We cannot know the moon by the description that somebody gives us. It is very bright. If somebody says, if we have not seen the moon, and somebody says the moon is very bright, and then we can think even about a tube light. The moon is the size of a big circle, they will describe. We will think of 1,000 watts circle color light lamp. So we will not have the right picture about the moon by somebody else's description about the moon. We need to see it personally for ourselves to know the brilliance and the beauty of the moon. In the same way, how much ever somebody describes about the self, about the Atman, there is no possibility to know it completely through others. It is not paroksha by some other person's eyes or some other person's knowledge and some other person's understanding. We will never be able to know it completely except by our own personal experience of the self. Avidya kama karmadi pashabandham vimochitum kashaknuyat vinatmanam kalpakoti shatairapi. Kalpa is a very, very, very long period of time. Even if you have crores of kalpas, even if you are trying for crores and crores of kalpas, through others to know the self, avidya kama karmadi pashabandham, to be free of ignorance, to be free of desire, and to be free of action. Action means compulsive action. To exist, we have to do something. We are thinking that we have to do something to exist. So that kind of a compulsiveness of action We are not doing action from freedom, we are doing action for freedom. For enjoying something, we are doing action. We are not doing action out of enjoyment. So, when we don't do it out of enjoyment, and when we do it for gaining something, for gaining money, for gaining connections, for gaining some happiness, then we are always caught in the cycle of we have to do actions and only then we will get it, and we are always caught in the cycle of ignorance. I don't know who I am, I don't know what is this world, I don't know what is the connection between me and the world, and I don't know what is the way to permanent joy. Avidya. Kama. If since I don't know that the self, that the joy is within me, I am always desiring to gain joy through something else in this world. If I eat an ice cream, I will be joyful. If I watch Jailer movie first time, first day, first show, then I will be happy. If I go to the beach, I will be happy. If I go abroad, I travel abroad, I will be happy. If I have a lots of money, I will be happy. If I get a promotion in my office, I will be happy. So we are pinning our happiness and hopes to be happy on some object, person, or situation outside of us. Karma, and we are working on those actions all the time, ceaselessly, helplessly. But this is not going to help us to be free. I cannot gain freedom from ignorance, from desire, and from action. Nobody else can give that to me. Kaha shaknuyat, who is capable of freeing me from ignorance, from desire, and from action other than my own self effort? Shaknuyat vina atmanam, even if I may try so for crores and crores of lifetimes together, it is not possible. So, understanding that, we know that in this area of our life, in the understanding of who I am, it is none other than me who has to put the effort in that direction. And why should we search this? So, the glory of knowledge, the beauty of this knowledge of the self is being given in verses 56 to 61. Na yogena na sankhena karmana no na vidyaya brahmatmaikatva bodhena moksha siddhyati nanyatha. So we may study so many subjects. We may study history, geography, economics, advanced English, science, mathematics, law, jurisprudence, medicine. We may study music. We may study sports. Many things we may study. We may practice yoga. Yoga means pranayama, meditation, asana, the postures, yamas, niyamas, being disciplined in life, being self controlled and doing right actions, and then concentration, meditation, quietening the mind in the state of samadhi, sankhya. We may know that there are different elements in this universe. There are 23 elements, including the buddhi, the intellect, the ahankara, the manas, the sense organs, the five pranas, the five organs of perception, the five organs of action, the the mind, and all that. We may know all the differences, the taxonomical differences of the components of this universe. We may know karmana. We may do so many actions in this world. We may practice in so many sports, win many awards, win many achievements, and win win many things. We may do so many actions that give us a lot of joy in this world, karmana, or we may add degree after degree in our understanding. We may add so many degrees like MA, MBA, MBBS, BE, BL, BGL, then whatever degrees we have, PhDs, Vidya. Through Vidya, we may add a lot of degrees, but all this will not help us to know our true self. How can I know the true self? Brahma Atma Ekatva Bodhena. I should know that the Atma or I, the individual personality, and the Brahman, the total consciousness and total I are one. Only by that, only by those means, I will attain freedom or moksha or liberation. Siddhyati na anyatha. There is no other way by which I can be free or I can experience freedom. Freedom means I experience bliss, joy without any differences. There is no bliss for 10 minutes and then 15 minutes of misery after that, and then a little bit of joy for 1 hour and then 10 hours of sorrow. It's not like that. Ananta Ananda, Ananta Ananda, Ananta Sachit. Ananda means eternal existence, eternal awareness, and eternal joy. If I want to experience that, then there is no other way except Brahma, Atma, Ekattu Bodhena. I should know that the I that I refer to myself is none other than that Brahman, the self, the supreme self, the cosmic self. Bodhena mokshaha siddhyati. I become free only with that knowledge. Na anyatha. Not by learning this subject or that subject, or learning Sanskrit or learning mathematics or learning yoga or practicing yoga or studying Sankhya, giving lectures and talks on many philosophies and darshanas. That is not going to help me to realize the self. The knowledge that I am that Brahman, Aham Brahma Asmi, Tattvam Asi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. Only this knowledge and its understanding and abiding by that knowledge in our life is going to give us moksha, and there is no other way. There's a very interesting verse here. Veenaya Rupa Saundaryam Tantri Vadana Saushthavam Prajaranjana Matram Tan Nasamrajyaya Kalpate. Nasamrajyaya. The Moksha Samrajya. Samrajya means empire of freedom. I get into such a place where there is no obstruction for me anywhere from anybody. Whatever I wish I can do, wherever I wish I can go, whatever I wish I can be, whatever possible thing needs to happen around me, that can happen. That is called Moksha Samrajya. If I want to capture that Moksha Samrajya, the kingdom of freedom, then Veenaya Rupa Saundaryam, there is a Veena behind, it's covered in a cloth. Veena is there. Rupa, the Veena is very beautiful to see, Saundaryam, and then the person has also got Tantri Vadana Saushtavam. The person is able to play Veena very beautifully. The person is able to play on the strings of the Veena in the most harmonious and melodious manner. So what will that purpose serve? Here it is given because Adisankaracharya, there's a very beautiful verse in a Smriti. Veenavadana tatparaham Shruti Shruti Visharadaha Talajnyaham Moksha Margam cha aprayatnena gacchati. Somewhere in some, I think in Yagnavalkya Smriti or somewhere it is being said. Moksha Margam, Veena Vadana Tatparaha, a person who knows to play the Veena, and who is also very well versed in Raga and Tala, who's got knowledge of Raga and Tala, Moksha Margam Saha aprayatnena gacchati. He goes very easily onto the path of moksha. Moksha margam gacchati is what is being said. It doesn't say that that person will be completely liberated. Here Bhagavan Adisankaracharya is clarifying. even if we want to play some musical instrument and all that, still what we can do through that is we can only prajaranjana matram. People will be very, very, very happy to hear the notes of the music that we play. Tat na samrajyaya kalpate. It is not going to give me the kingdom of moksha. It is not going to give me the kingdom of liberation, which means if I want liberation, then I have to learn and do what it takes for liberation and not do something else and expect to be liberated. That is the essence of this verse. The next verse, Vagvaikari Shabda Jhari Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam Vaidushyam Vidusham Tadvat Bhuktaye Natu Muktaye. Vag Vaikari. Vag Vaikari means speech. You are letting out speeches on stage. Jhari. The words are flowing like a waterfall speech. Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam. That person can debate on any aspect of the Shastras. Wherever there is a debate being held on the Shastras, the person is always there on the mic to talk with eloquence on the Shastras or the different texts of the Shastras. Vaidushyam Vidusham Tatvat Bhuktaye Natu Muktaye. That Vaidushyam, for that Vidusha or Vidushi, that Vaidushyam can only help him to enjoy. It can help him to enjoy name, fame, power, money, all those things they can enjoy because of the ability to speak from the Shastras, but it will not help him to gain mukti. To gain mukti, to gain liberation, one thing, the knowledge is required that I am the self, the universal self, and the I that I call myself is one through the master, and for that knowledge to be established in me, I have to work on the path of sadhana, of meditation, and being contemplative and trying to understand that for that liberation to happen, it is not going to happen because I give fiery speeches on stage or flowery speeches on stage, or I am counseling people with all the books of the Shastras. Even all that will only give me some joy in terms of fame, name, and money and power. It is not going to grant me liberation. Avijñāte pare tattve शास्त्राधीतिस्तु निष्फला विज्ञातेऽपि परे तत्त्वे शास्त्राधीतिस्तु निष्फला. The second part of both lines are the same. Shastra adhitistu nishpala, meaning even after studying the Shastras, there is no use. When in two circumstances, there is no use. If I don't know the supreme truth that I am that Brahman, or that Brahman, which is the supreme consciousness, is the same supreme consciousness in me, if I don't know that truth, what is the use of studying all the Shastras? The purpose of studying Shastras is to take me to this Brahma Vichara and to realize the truth that I am that Brahman, not to be proud about it and talk to others about it and talk on stage that this is the date of my self-realization, this is the day I got realized. Not to give proud lectures about that, but for my own true understanding of the self. Avijñāte paretat. If I don't know this truth, then what is the point in studying all the Shastras? Then, for the person who knows the truth, Vijñātepi paretatve, after having studied all the Shastras, and then the person has contemplated, has heard that the Brahman and I are one, has contemplated upon it, and has realized that, then what is the use of the Shastras? Because the purpose of the Shastras is to take me to this point of self-realization that I am that self that I seek. And here there's a note of warning on going behind many texts, many teachers, many ashrams, many paths, many methods, going on spiritual shopping of books. Shabdajalam Maharanyam चित्तभ्रमणकारणम् अतः प्रयत्नात् ज्ञातव्यम् तत्त्वज्ञैस्तत्त्वमात्मनः शब्दजालं maharanyam. Shabdajalam meaning the web of words. Maharanyam is a great forest of words. What does it do? It only makes my mind to spin. Chitta Brahmana Karanam. Ataha. So there are so many books, there are so many YouTube channels talking different things, speaking about different darshanas, giving different thoughts, different ideas. I keep spinning around all the time, flooding my mind with information. What is that information going to do to me? It will only clutter my head with data. Chitta Brahmana Karanam. And when there is so much of data in my head, I will be overwhelmed and I can be very confused. Chitta Brahmana Karanam. Ataha. Therefore, Prayatnat Jnatavyam. I should put an effort. This knowledge, many other knowledge streams come to us unasked because everywhere, YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook, everybody who wants to give their knowledge keep presenting it. But there is one knowledge which will not come to us unasked. Information can come, but this knowledge or the experience of the knowledge within will come only when we strive for it. Ataha, so we should strive for that knowledge. What knowledge? Prayatnat jnatavyam. I should put applied effort towards knowing this. What? Tattvajnaihi. From whom? Tattvajnaihi. From people, from gurus, from masters who have realized the truth. Tattvajnaihi. What should I know from them? Tattvam atmanaha. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? What is this I? What is the connection between I and the Supreme Self? What is the connection between I and the world? This one has to be known from the teacher who has himself realized this truth. Ajnana sarpadashtasya brahmajnanaushadham vina kimu vedaischa shastraischa kimu mantraih kim aushadhaihi. So we have so many practices that we do, so many sadhanas that we do. The sadhanas all, they're very good. They take us up to a point. They take us up to a point where the sadhanas help to going to temples, doing japa, and then studying the Vedas, studying the Shastras, chanting mantras, and taking different kinds of medicines, different kinds of pills to give an altered state of consciousness. All these methods will take us to one point of time. But Ajnana Sarpadashtasya, when the person has been bitten by the snake called Ajnana or ignorance of who I am, that person, for snake venom, only an anti-venom serum only will benefit. Only that will take out the venom. In the same way, if I am being bitten by the snake of Ajnana or ignorance, or in other words, I don't know who I am. If I am bitten by that ignorance, Brahmajnana Aushadham, I should treat that disease, that problem, with the medicine called Brahmajnana or knowledge about the Brahman. Vina. Without that, what is the use of Vedas, chanting the Vedas? Sahasrashirsham Devam Vishwaksham Vishwashambhuvam Vishwam Narayanam Devam Aksharam Paramam Padam Vishwatah Paraman Nityam Vishwam Narayanagum Harim. So many Veda mantras are there. Shastras, Yogaha, Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha, Tada Drashtu Swarupeva Sthanam, Vritti Sarupyam Mitaratra. Chanting from the Shastras, mantras, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Adityaya Vidmahe Sahasrakiranaya Dhimagi, or the Bhagavad Gita verses. Everybody will say, wow, you know so much of Sanskrit. Your Sanskrit is so good. You're chanting so well. They will praise us. But that is not going to treat a person who's been bitten by a snake cannot be very proud of the names of medicines he knows. He has to exactly take that medicine. He cannot say anasin, saridon, crocin, so many names he cannot rattle off. For the snake venom to go, he has to take that snake anti snake poison medicine. In the same way, for this poison of ajnana to go from my being, from my personality, I have to take the medicine of Brahmajnana, and there is no point in chanting from other books, reading from other books, or going to other textbooks, or doing japa, or doing mantra. Meaning, at one point of time, all sadhanas have to stop, and the mind has to become complete quiet for that self to express itself in our mind and to experience that kind of a knowledge and liberation and understanding of the self within. 62 to 66. What is this direct experience? What is liberation? One second, please. What is liberation? Direct experience. Nagacchati vina panam vyadhiraushadha shabdataha vina parokshanubhavam brahma shabdairna muchyate. Okay, you say study, know about the Brahman. I go to many satsangas, and there many teachers, many masters tell, you are that Brahman, Tattvamasi. Then they say, meditate on Aham Brahmasmi. Na gacchati vina panam. A medicine, vyadihi, aushadha shabdataha. Suppose I have some pain, ache, headache. If I go on telling saridon, 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 my headache is not going to go. Anasin or a dart or whatever tablet, name of the tablet, or Panadol or a Tylenol, whatever tablet we may take for headache or any other pain. If I go on tell the name of that medicine of that tablet, my pain is not going to go. If my pain has to go, what should I do? I have to take the tablet and swallow the tablet. It has to go into my system, and only then the pain will go. Vyadihi aushadha shabdataha. Just by telling the name of the tablet or the medicine, the pain is not going to go. In the same way, vina aparoksha anubhavam. There are three ways by which we can see. One is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means directly visible in front of me. The self is not visible in front of me. The other is paroksha. Somebody else is coming and telling me. For example, there is a match in New Zealand, and somebody else is watching the match and recording the match and showing it on television, and I am seeing it. I am not seeing it directly because I am not going to New Zealand or Australia. Somebody else is seeing it and telling me. That is paroksha. Aparoksha means not paroksha, not somebody else, not direct perception, not through somebody else, but pratyaksha. But aparoksha. Aparoksha means not paroksha, meaning by my own self, directly looking within and discovering for myself. Vina aparoksha anubhavam. That experience of the self has to happen within. And it happens within not because we study, not because we meditate, not because we know, not because we do so many things. It happens because of the grace of the divine. This whole universe has been created for us for two purposes. One purpose is bhoga. I experience joy from many objects in this universe all the time in different ways. That is one purpose. The other purpose is moksha. I get completely liberated from this universe, from the cycle of this universe. And what is that moksha? That liberation happens when I realize myself. With the grace of that Prakriti, with the grace of that Purusha, that Ishvara, I will get an opportunity to realize myself, and that realization also happens because of that grace. Vina paroksha anubhavam brahma shabdena muchyate. Na brahma shabdehe na muchyate. So in the same way, that paroksha, aparoksha anubhavam, if I have to realize the truth, just like how the disease will not go if I'm just chanting the name of the medicine, in the same way, I keep chanting Soham, 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 or Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, 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 Chidanandarupah, Shivoham, Shivoham, Chidanandarupah, Shivoham, Shivoham. I keep chanting that. I will not get the realization. Like chanting the name of the medicine. If I want to have the realization, there should be an aparoksha anubhavam. There should be an experience within me. Anubhavam means constant experience of that self existing within me at all periods of time. Akritva drishya, this is a very humorous verse. Akritva drishya vilayam ajñātvā tattvamatmanah brahma shabdaihi kuto muktihi uktimatra phalair nrunam. Uktimatra phalaihi nrunam. Akritva drishya vilayam. The next verse actually is a humorous part of it. That's how it's giving an example. Akritva drishya vilayam. We do not do a vilayam of the drishya. Drishya means whatever we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. We think that it is real. It is reality. We have not dissolved that reality. If I have to pursue the knowledge of the self, that knowledge of the self will take me out of this reality completely and establish the reality of the self alone. If I have not done this drishya vilayam, means if I have not understood that this whole universe that I experience with my 5 sense organs, the mind, the intellect, my emotions and feelings, is actually not there. It is not there. Ajñātva tattvamatmanah. If I don't know that essence of who I am in reality, if I don't know that, if I have not dissolved this universe of names and forms, then what is the point in just saying Brahma Shabdehe Kuto Muktihi, just by saying Brahman, 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 and doing puja to that Brahman, 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 Kuto Muktihi. How is there mukti? How can there be freedom if I really don't know? Meaning, that word Brahman is there. Inside that word, the meaning of the word Brahman is contained in that word. That meaning is my own self. Like how my name is Sharanya. When somebody calls me Sharanya, I will say, yes, are you calling me? I will not think, oh, that person is talking about somebody at whose feet you can surrender. All those thoughts are not coming to my mind. If they say Sharanya, I will say, yes, did you call me? In the same way, when you say Brahman, if we are able to respond with, yes, it's me, did you call me? Then that is the kind of understanding which is called, even at midnight, when we wake you up and ask, what is your name? You will be able to tell your name. In the same way, you are able to tell that name because you have identified with that name for so long, and the understanding is there that that is your name. In the same way, when you say, who am I? And if I am not able to understand completely, when I say I am that Brahman, Brahma Shabdehe, Kuto Muktihi, how is there freedom? Just by saying Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, without any understanding of the meaning of what that is, Muktihi, Ukti Matra Phalain Drunam. Just by chanting that word, Aham, maybe that sentence, Mahavakya, it is called Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, or Tattvam Asi, Tattvam Asi, Tattvam Asi. Every word has the capacity to quieten the mind, and it can help like any other mantra to quieten the mind. It does not do its full, the full task or the meaning of that word, which is self-realization, does not happen by just chanting. So this is cutting out all the unwanted activities that we do in the name of sadhana and going for the final step which we need to take to know the truth. That is what Bhagavan Adisankaracharya is trying to say. That is, don't spend your time wasting on discussing about the truths that are told in the Upanishads, the Bhashyam, this Bhashyam, that person has said this person has said that, this is what the Siddhanti is saying, this is what the Pratipaksha is saying, the opposite side, indulging in debates about it, wasting all our energy. Nothing is going to happen as a result of that. Only realization of that self within is only going to matter. And go for the kill, meaning go for the final step that you need to take towards realization, and don't get stuck with anything else like beautiful chanting or studying the patha. All that helps in our understanding at one point of time, but the final realization happens in silence. अकृत्वा शत्रु संहारम अगत्वा अखिल भूश्रियम राजाहम इति शब्दान्नः राजा भवितुमर्हति. This is what very humorous. For a person to announce himself as an emperor or a king without shatru samharam, without conquering the enemies, and agatva akhila bhushriyam, without gathering the wealth of all the countries, all the continents, if I don't gather the wealth everywhere, and if I don't go out and conquer enemies, and I just announce myself that I am the emperor of this whole world, it is a very funny thing indeed. In the same way, without doing what is required for knowing the truth, and I am just going on telling I am the supreme, I am the Brahman, I am the truth, just going on uttering in matter of words, what is going to happen? The same way he is showing the example of a person who claims himself to be a king without actually conquering enemies and without gathering wealth, which is a mark of a kingdom and kingship or emperorship. Winning over the wealth of others is what an emperor has to do to declare himself as an emperor. Without doing that, if a person is going to say, I am the king, I am the king, I am the king, he may be as well as a foolish man at whom everybody will laugh at. So, we will look at the remaining some few verses in tomorrow's session. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Vashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Bole Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Har Namah Parvati Pataye. Hara Hara Mahadeva. Hari Om.